Hello, everybody. This is the Hollow Black Podcast with David and Jason. And today's famous guest, our boy, first Black African American Lieutenant Governor for the state of Wisconsin, Kappa. I gotta say, you.
Yeah, that's why it took me so long to get here to make sure I'm in the setup.
We was gonna get you. You gotta cue an album. We was like,
get his cane.
Yeah.
Tell him to wear his period.
Right. The first generations of Kappas in my family would not have been pleased, though, brother. It would have been tough.
So, man, we want to thanks for coming. Want to just touch base with you on a variety of issues. And number one, congratulations on the success. We were just joking about all the stuff you're doing, and I was joking with you, like, dude, I can't read all that stuff.
Right.
But I am very impressed, man. Number one, I saw you on. It was one of the news shows on Sunday mornings, and you look good, bro. And I was telling Tosh, I was sitting on the couch, I was like, yo, it looked like you found your niche.
Yes.
That was your lane. You know what I mean? You found it. It looked like, okay, I could see him being a political commentator.
I appreciate that, man. It was my major.
Yeah, you look good, man. It looked really good. I was very impressed and very proud, man. It was really good, bro. So wanted to tell you that. But number one, bring us up to speed, man. For those of us who try to track you, senior fellow, you've leading two organizations, three organizations.
One's a PAC.
Yeah. PAC too. So it's been a few things, and after my race in 22, I had a chance to really kind of figure it out, and was lucky enough to be in a place where I was able to sort of carve my own lane. But I do want to also mention, none of us do any of this on our own.
No doubt.
And I had a really solid support system that was going to be there whether I won or whether I lost.
Indeed.
And that's not the case for everybody. So I just always want to say how grateful I am to have had that support system, to continue to have that support system. And so, right after the race, we thought about all sorts of things, like how can I make some sort of political impact. So I started my political action committee, which is called The Long Run, which, double entendre is for the long run. We invest in younger candidates, primarily candidates who are in tougher races across the country, but it's those marginal races that can make a difference. And we want to try to get in on the ground floor, because so many times potentially good candidates get looked over, don't get the chance that they deserve.
Would you mind sharing who you've helped that you find most rewarding?
So we were able to get on the ground floor on a couple different races. One I'm particularly excited about is Angela Also Brooks in Maryland, because she was running against a very wealthy guy in the primary, a guy who he wasn't a bad dude by any means. He was a member of Congress. He was supportive of me and my campaign, but we knew in order to make the biggest difference, it was important to get behind her. Unfortunately, there were enough other people behind her to pull off that surprise in the primary. Yeah. She went on to win the general. And people didn't even think she was going to win the general because she was running against a popular Republican governor. And so she pulled off an upset in the primary and in the general. I'll say Ruben Gallego in Arizona, in his primary before Kirsten Sinema got out of the primary. We were there behind him. There is a couple others.
Are you going to get involved with the Lieutenant Governor of Illinois?
We already did. Yep, already did. We got in with Juliana Stratton, who's running for U.S. Senate in Illinois. She and I were elected lieutenant governor the same year, and so we have a friendship, we have a relationship. I think very highly of her.
She was here last year. She visited the church. She worshiped with us, and she spoke to us. And I said to her then, I said, you know what? I have a feeling I'm gonna see you again.
And we are going to see her again.
Yeah,
we are going to see her again,
ma'am,
for sure.
Ma'am, you're too smart. You got it. You got too much together.
Got too much together. Indeed. So really excited about her. Andy Kim in New Jersey. Yeah. In his primary, he was at first running against the first lady of the state, and people counted him out. The establishment counted him out, and she ended up dropping out. He ended up winning. But it's more than that too. Like the U.S. Senate is the highest level we've supported candidates, but we supported people at the ground level also.
Okay.
A guy who is now the comptroller in Houston, right? He was the.
Oh wow! So you guys get involved in local?
Yeah, we get involved in some local ones where it really makes sense to. This guy Chris Hollins, he's a Q. Y'all wasn't gonna help him at first. He had to work for it. He had to work for it.
They had to pray on it.
It took a while to get to yes.
Yes, sir.
But he was the clerk in Harris County, and there were some issues with the state and elections that were going on, and he was front and center. He led those battles to protect election integrity, and that was somebody, like I said, I got to know, and it was important to make sure other people knew him. And so all points in between U.S. Senate and local office, we try to help people.
Okay.
Man, I want to talk about the rationale why do this and the energy behind it, because there is this, this sort of the old Democrat guard versus the new one. And what was your reaction, man, to the whole? We haven't talked to you about the whole Kamala Harris. What was your reaction to the end result? Were you surprised that so many people voted against their interests here in Wisconsin, man?
So I'll start with the top of the question. It's not so much old school versus new school. I think I think it's about people who are there and people who want to do. I think that's the biggest difference. Whether you're there in office or they're participating in the party, some people are happy to be a part of the party because of what the Democratic Party stands for. Some people want to push the party further to specifically meet the moment that we're in. I do see myself as part of that camp that wants to push further because we're dealing with challenges that we've never seen before, challenges we could have never expected to come our way. And so when I think about the election for president last year, it was heartbreaking. I will say for sure, in the last couple of weeks, it felt tough. It felt tougher. Like there was a point of excitement, and when she became the nominee, and we'd be talking to people and saying, "Hey, man, if only we can keep this momentum, if only this energy can carry." But it wouldn't just sustain itself, right? Like that was the tough part about it. And one, having a chance to know her, to get to know her personally, to get to know her husband personally, right? It was, there was a personal hit for me because I just felt like this was somebody I truly knew. I remember I would always joke with her that she yelled at me one day for running in New Orleans. It was during Essence Fest. In 2023, and I was out for a run. I shouldn't have been out for a run. It was way too hot. And she called. And I saw the 202. I was like, I should probably take this one. And I took it, and it was her. And I was like, yeah, I'm out for a run right now. She happened to be in New Orleans too for Essence Fest. And she's like, what are you doing? She said, you need to stop. You gotta stop running. It's too it's too hot out there.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, no, I'm serious. And then
go home, go back to the hotel.
And then the event later, I thought she was gonna forget about it. She brought it back up. She was like, y'all know he was out here running in this weather. And so like she's a person. A person who cares about people, and she will give you that tough love.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it was a lot during the campaign. I think she was constricted by a few things. She was constricted by how long President Biden stayed in.
Indeed.
That was probably the biggest challenge for her. It didn't give her much time to get out of his shadow. And Joe Biden, although he did some really transformative things, the reality is the transformative nature of those policies are going to take years for people to realize. And now we see how easily that stuff is getting rolled back in real time.
Right.
So with that, it was pretty difficult for her to create her own identity, to really, start to begin to appeal to new audiences. So much of the Biden team ended up being her operation by default because you just can't switch it up with only 100 days to go. Like, and that's not her fault. That's just logistically, it's almost impossible to do the overhaul you need to do it in only 100 days. Like that's how long it takes to set up a campaign the way you want it to.
Indeed.
So
they did a masterful job. I worked with.
It was impressive.
With
100 days.
A lot of those cats from out of Delaware.
Yeah.
And doing some writing and surrogacy for her.
Yeah.
She was it was brilliant.
For sure.
She was the perfect candidate at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been an observer and a follower of hers since about 2009.
Okay.
And just knew it was going to be her time.
For sure.
We were praying, we were waiting for it.
Yeah.
And I think she ran as good a campaign.
There was nothing else she could have done.
Exactly.
There was nothing else she could have done.
Exactly.
Yeah. And yeah. And so
you can't say it, but I feel, they weren't ready to elect this Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she was brilliant. She is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Jason begged me not to ask you these questions, brother. But I got because I have a whole room full of politicians. Y'all, y'all Black men are successful and brilliant and all that.
That's him softening you up before the question.
I gotta ask you, brother.
He's a lawyer by trade, you know.
Number one, and maybe because I need for your future to we just need the best for you. So I won't ask the race question of your election, but what is it that we can do to get you to run, brother? To run? Because and I'm gonna tell you this: they're cats like us. We need. I'm like we see us in you, brother, and so how you do and how you move is going to be important for. I mean, it's important for us to see. So, brother, I need a word from you today. No, brother, I don't need. I want, you know what I'm saying? Not the political. I need a word, brother. I need a word from you today.
Are you hanging up the cleats? We're gonna get back in the game.
It's all timing. It's all timing, and it has to be the right moment.
Okay.
I'm more inclined to do so than not. But that's like it's 51% yes.
Okay, brother.
It has to be 100% yes.
What you talking about?
That's the point. That's the thing.
Okay.
That's the thing. That's what I don't have the answer to yet.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But I do.
Would you even be entertained by something lower than? I mean, you won statewide office.
It's got to be the timing. It's the timing of it all. I don't want to run for something just for the sake of running.
Right. That's right.
But I do feel as if we put in a lot of work, laid a solid foundation, built a lot of coalition around the state,
yes, sir,
around the country, and I don't want that to go to waste.
I like what I'm hearing. But I need you to file some paperwork or something. You know what I'm saying, brother?
He's gonna come pick you up.
I need some paperwork filed, brother.
So there are a lot of parts that I certainly miss.
Yes, sir.
But right now there's a level of flexibility. Like I talked about one thing I'm doing, there's power to the polls. So and the thing I want people to realize too, I have not going anywhere. Right. I'm still very much around.
I see you.
Cranking out a lot of stuff.
Cranking out a lot of stuff. That's right.
So when I get called in to New York to do CNN, I'm there.
Yes, sir.
We have Power to the Polls, an organization that I'm leading, focused specifically on increasing voter turnout by engaging infrequent voters,
right,
and finding new voters. And we have done a masterful job at that. I'm not even going to say our organizers have done a great job at truly appealing to people who may be hesitant to show up in a Supreme Court election.
Right.
People who may be confused or concerned. There are people with Power to the Polls who are out on doors right now as we speak. They've been out there for the last 2 months because they're not talking about campaigns. They're not talking about candidates. They're educating people about what's going on in DC. They're educating people about what's going on here at the state level. Gotcha. And in order for us to increase voter turnout, we have to increase the level of voter information that's out there and access to it. And so an informed electorate is an active electorate.
How heavy is that lift, man? I mean, because how heavy is that lift?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's real hard. It takes real dedication. But if you are, say you sign up to go volunteer for the party or sign up to volunteer for a campaign, you are going to go to easy doors. You're going to go to doors where people are already likely to vote, where people already likely have information. So our organizers who are full-time, they're showing up where a person may have voted, in a presidential election in the last 4 to 8 years, and that's it. And as
these are literally new voters.
A lot of these people are new voters. And so when somebody shows up who's not, on the voter roll, not on the list, we still talk to them, get their information, and make sure they have every bit of information we can possibly give them.
Gotcha.
We don't just sit there and be like, oh, okay, sorry, well, we'll try the next door. No, we want to engage whoever we come in contact with, because the problem is there's a lot of disinformation out there, a lot of misinformation, And if we can get there when there's no noise right now,
right?
There's not a whole lot of political noise. It's relatively quiet. So when we can talk to them, these aren't folks who are, watching the news every day, watching CNN, watching MSNBC, or even watching Fox News, right? These are people who, if they get information, sometimes the source may be questionable.
Yeah.
Right.
So we want to be that purveyor of information. And we stay in touch with them, and and also, there's a lot of transient population too. So, a lot of times people have moved, gone somewhere else, and nobody's showing up to the door to talk to that person, or nobody's getting mail at the house.
And this has been a huge reason as to why we've lost a number of elections.
90 million, aren't voting.
Dude, and there's been this consistent drop off of Black voters since 2012, which was Barack Obama's last campaign.
Due to what?
I mean, so. Like a lot of people in our community, we were like, yeah, it's Barack Obama. We're showing up regardless.
I got you.
And then afterwards it was a lot of are we truly feeling the policies? And for too many people, that answer was no. And there wasn't that motivating factor named Barack Obama on the ballot. And so people, have decided one way or another. Too many people have decided the way of not showing up to vote. And I'm not gonna, even the people that didn't show up in my election, right? I can't sit there and blame them, right? Like, and a reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, whether it's through the long run, whether it's through Power to Polls, is because I want to think about what I could have done differently, how I could have shown up better, how I could have been more impactful. It could be easy to say, "Oh man, why didn't y'all vote, man?" and just walk away and give up. Well, let's solve this problem while I have the time to work to solve the problem. And so, the people, some data that I want to give in the presidential election, although we didn't win the presidential, Milwaukee had the highest voter turnout of the 50 largest cities in the entire country.
Really?
50 largest cities.
Did not know that.
Milwaukee voters also had the least substantial swing towards the right to Donald Trump compared to other major cities and swing states. So you're not swing state, but your Detroit's, your Philadelphia's, your Phoenix, Arizona's. Those cities, they swung anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 points towards the right. In Milwaukee, it was less than 1%.
Really? Wow.
It was less than 1%. In other cities in 2024, their voter turnout was down. Our turnout was up from 2020. We had more voters, and also our population was slight, like 12,000 people. It was 12,000 fewer people living in Milwaukee in 2024 than 2020, and we still had a higher voter turnout than we did in 2020.
Why isn't that story being told? Because
I try to tell people,
right?
Try it.
Because they'll take that. Well, Milwaukee didn't do this.
No, Milwaukee showed up, and Milwaukee showed up better than any other city of note in terms of swing state and in terms of diverse population.
Would you co-sign a Harris rerun?
I don't know yet. Like I would like to see a primary. I would truly like to see a primary. As much as I am a fan of the Vice President Kamala Harris, I do think that it's, regardless of even if I wanted it, I do think that there would be a level of blowback and pushback if it was automatically determined not a primary. Yeah. And I think for the sake of democracy, for the sake of building a strong party, I think that a primary will probably be the best course.
Speaking of building a strong party, how do we get a bench, particularly here in Wisconsin? How do we build, not just that next level, but Republicans are very skilled. I've been managing campaigns, since like 96, and I just watch them. They're very skilled at empowering young leaders.
Yeah, for sure. And I think at this stage, I do think we have a better bench than Republicans. But I will say the problem is we let people get elected and kind of leave them out to dry. That's kind of the thing. I think the bench could even, be stronger than it is if people had the support, while they're in office. And, in the legislature, when, you've been in the minority for so long. It's like people forget about you. They only get mad about you when something doesn't pass, right? They just get mad. That's when they remember you're there. And so,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When those fights come up, show up and have people's backs.
Yeah.
And even when like a piece of legislation that may not make it out of committee or make it off the floor, like show how much you support that. So it's like people aren't just left isolated, left on an island.
Let me ask you, who do you see now? Like people coming up, and you're like, okay, that person has it.
Yeah. So let me think. That's because it should be an easier question.
It's a tough question though, man.
It is particularly
when you run and
I know it's a tough question. It's a tough question. I got to shout out my frat brother Donald Dansler.
I know that's right.
Here, real smart dude. I've been knowing him since 2009. And I mean, even across the country, like you got some people that are showing up, that are doing the work too. And honestly, it might even be too many to name that I think about it. Like in Pennsylvania, like Sarah Emirato, who's the county executive where Pittsburgh is. You got people like Michigan, they got a lot of people who are, they're all running for higher office now. It's I'm trying to think now. Here at home, I know Marcelia is doing her thing at Milwaukee County.
Well, as you knew, though, let me ask you this one. We all know Mayor Cavalier, County Executive David Crowley. You know him well. Aspirations of running for higher office. What would you tell them, man? If they
you got to include Dora in that.
What would you tell them if they?
Yeah, what I would say is that you can have all the ambition you want to, if you ain't taking care of home. Let's go come back to let's go come back.
And that'll conclude our.
I'm not even saying that. I'm not saying that they aren't taking care of home. I'm just saying it just generally. I know that's funny, but that's very funny. Just generally speaking, though, like you got to do the job that you're
that's right.
that you're in, right?
Right.
Like people see through if you aren't.
That's right.
There was a poll came out, and whether or not people feel like Governor Evers should run again. I'm not gonna ask you whether you think he should, but I think it's a tough job, right? I think it's easy for us all to criticize people in leadership positions until you get in those positions. Then you realize, it's some stuff you got to deal with.
It's some stuff you got to deal with. It's truly some stuff you got to deal with. And we are a state where he has won and Donald Trump has won.
Does that perplex you?
It perplexes me. And Tammy Baldwin, her margin was narrow.
Yes, it was.
She won. She never had a fight like that.
That's right.
So Wisconsin is in a real weird place right now. And I do think that the governor has found won the election in 2018. He found his sweet spot, got in there. Was able to overcome the midterm with Biden as president and still win. So I think that he has a lot going for him in that regard in terms of running again. I think I don't even without, if I were or were not to answer the question, I don't know that there's a person who's better positioned to him to run again right now. I don't know that there's a person who has a better chance of winning.
Nobody
than him right now.
Nobody popping up.
Nobody pops up right now.
If he asked my folks keep telling me that he's not going to run, and then Josh is going to run. You know what? I stay out of the nothing is real until it's real. For sure.
Nothing is real until it's real.
For sure.
They asked you to come back, would you?
Not for governor, not this year. I am when I say I'm enjoying the work that I'm doing right now, I truly am. I do want to see some of this. I do want to see these projects through.
Yeah.
Whether it's power and the other one for Together Wisconsin. Now that is a very specific organization, and we are just trying to close the energy gap here in Wisconsin. Specifically making sure lower income people have access to clean energy, renewable energy, clean air, safe drinking water, clean air. That's been a passion of mine forever. And right now we are dealing with, or will be dealing with, some of the impacts of the massive federal bill. we're working in coalition with other groups right now to figure our next steps. But for now, we want to make sure that every person, in the state who qualifies for the incentives, whether they switch to solar, whether they switch to a ground source heating pump, takes advantage of those. And not just individuals either, businesses, schools and school districts, you name it. We want people to, we want Wisconsin to be on that path towards a clean energy future. When I was lieutenant governor, we got the first clean energy plan written and adopted, and now we want to make sure we see that through. And I'm like neck deep in that right now. And being neck deep in it, I do want to at least want another year and a half, 2 years to see those projects through.
Since we got you on the day of the court's decision, talk to me about where you are on the Supreme Court's
For
decision.
sure.
Yeah.
I think the Supreme Court made the right decision. It was just a year ago. You and I were together at a press conference talking about this, talking about the implications of the Dobbs decision and how women and families in general, people all across the state, will be impacted, whether or have been impacted, whether they realize it or not. So I do believe the state Supreme Court made the best decision, made the right decision in terms of protecting women's health. I think the Supreme Court made the right decision in terms of a person's freedom to make their own decisions. I remember where I was when Dobbs was decided. It was during my campaign, and my mother has spoken very openly about her story. I have shared her story. She did a commercial about it. Like it's not a secret, but it's something she feels very strongly about. And I think that will be in a much better place to choose when to start a family is maintained.
What do you think? What do you think the legacy will be, or the impact will be of this decision?
Yeah, I think the legacy and impact will be, the reality is, having a child is actually going through a pregnancy is more dangerous than going through an abortion. Seeking abortion access in a place where it is not legal is even more deadly.
Right. No doubt.
And so if you are able to have a safe legal abortion, I think it puts everybody in a much better place. And I think that the legacy will be, I think the legacy of being able to make that decision is one that I don't even know how to necessarily characterize it.
Right.
But the Supreme Court did make the right decision in doing so.
I love it.
Man, you look at this political environment now, this huge bill. I can't bring myself to. I can't bring myself to call it what.
Can't call him daddy.
I got some choice words, but what's your? Do you think we'll get 4 Republicans who won't vote for this thing in the House?
So the thing about that is, if you were to base the vote on things those Republicans have said in the past, it would be more than 4 who will vote against it.
Right.
But we're dealing with
your
Donald
former
Trump.
Opponent done switched up.
He switched up. He switched up, but that's to be expected.
Right.
The fact is, people like Ron Johnson are scared of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There is very little courage at this moment. People have sold out their constituencies to vote for this bill. But like I said, if you would judge them by their words, it would be way more than 4 who voted against it. And they have capitulated in ways that I could not even think possible. Right. Like I don't know who could ever have me in that position to one, go against my values, go against the word, and to just be frightened. And for them to talk about masculinity and all this other stuff, where is it?
That's real.
Right.
Where if that, look, if that's, I don't care who you are, how you act, but if you were sitting here preaching all this masculinity talk, and then go vote in this fashion, or have your own legacy, be determined by how quickly you will fall in line with Donald Trump, with the president. That amazes me, man. Where is that masculinity you were talking about?
It seems like he likes to humiliate.
To humiliate people. To humiliate people,
particularly. that he wants to be the alpha.
For sure. And people, the reason it happens is because people let him.
They let it.
People let him.
That's what I don't understand how, because in any normal society, this bill should be the kiss of death for any.
No doubt.
This
no doubt.
People in rural red areas will. This is not just a Democrats or against or independent. There are Republicans against this thing too.
Oh, for sure.
There should be much more people in rural red areas going, what are you all doing? What are you thinking?
And I got this pulled up, so it's so much that I would forget. It's like this is the biggest job killer in history because of the jobs that were created through the Infrastructure Jobs Act, the Inflation Reduction Act. It's the biggest loss in energy production in history because we had alternate forms of energy that were being sourced right here in America. The largest amount of new debt in history. I want to say $4 trillion new dollars in debt. Not only are they turning their back on the constituencies as they exist now, they are turning their backs on the future of this country. It'll be the biggest increase in uninsured Americans in history and the biggest total in tax cuts for billionaires in history.
Why do you think there'll be? Because I'm not so convinced that there will be consequences for some of these folks.
I think there'll be consequences. For
I hope so. I hope so. You know, why do you think that there are people who, I mean, this is not your opinion. This is that. The three of us are not giving opinions. This is data research. You've looked it up. This will be the impact.
That's right.
Why do you think people aren't?
But I mean, it's the same reason it's the same reason a lot of things exist the way they are. I saw a figure that said only about 48% actually know about it, the bill, which is very low. Only like 8% of people even know about the Medicaid cut portion of it. So when it comes 8%. So when it comes to the specifics of it, there's this lack of free flowing information. And you know, you can look at the decline in journalism in this country. Like it was, and people are just getting information from sources that they tend to agree with regardless.
Right.
And so if there are talking heads who either don't acknowledge what's wrong with this or choose to skew it in a way that makes it seem not as impactful, then that's the information people are going to walk away with.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about women's rights, and I have been proud to watch you advocate for not just equality but for equity. What other kinds of things can you tell us that you're doing?
For sure, and before I even answer, I can say the same about you too, man. Like seeing you up there, it's been great. Like I look, and for honesty, there just aren't a whole lot of Black dudes out there taking part and leading the conversation.
That's true.
You know, and also men of faith, people of faith in general.
Yeah.
You know, faith leaders. You know, who are participating in this conversation. So want to thank you for being a part of the conversation, and not just being a part of it, for leading the conversation.
Yes, sir.
You weren't there. I had to talk him down when we were there last year. I had to like, hey man, you relax. You got a lot to lose, man. You gotta slow down. There's a little situation that ensued.
I said, sir.
It's a little situation that bubbled up, man. I was like, hey, man.
I need you to bring it back.
Yes, sir. I forgot where I was for this.
Forgot where he was.
For a second. So
to that point, though, you know, like I said, energy is always, or climate change has always just been a big thing for me.
Yes, sir.
Because it impacts everybody, but there's a disproportionate impact on low-income people of color, Black people particularly are feeling the impact. And I think that when decisions are made, like things that are in this massive federal bill, there's no concern for Black communities and what will happen to Black people as a result of it. And if there was ever an issue of equity that I've just been all in on, it is that one. And it's going to continue to be. And not only the health impact, not only the environmental impact. I mean, you look at the level of, lead poisoning in communities. You look at disproportionate rates of asthma in communities because of the impact of coal burning power plants. Right. That's us. That's our kids. That's our babies. But also the opportunities. And, during my campaigns, I always talk about, my dad haven't worked on an assembly line. He saw the commercials, but he assembled catalytic converters.
That's
and
right.
that was the necessity of catalytic converters came as a result of the Clean Air Act requiring lower emissions on vehicles. People had to build those. That created jobs for people like my dad, an entire generation of people who had a good paying union job, had health insurance, had a retirement plan, everything they need to be able to reach the American dream. And the Inflation Reduction Act gave us the next step in that sort of job creation and economic opportunities for communities. And to see it being taken away is something that is incredibly harmful, damaging, and something that's incredibly frustrating. One thing too, you can look at economic opportunity as well, because there is, when I remember once I was with a friend, we grabbed a drink one day, and I was like, the bartender, brought the bill, and it was like, she's like, I'm not paying for this. There's a male female income gap. I said, there's a white male, white woman income gap.
That's right.
There's also a white woman, black male income gap. Right. You are on the higher end of the economic spectrum if you want to have that argument with me.
That's right.
Right. And so, the economic opportunity for sure, what does that look like? It takes many different forms. Like our businesses don't always get the support that they deserve. But also there's a real economic hole so many of us are digging ourselves out of. Like I think about how many people are, inherit homes as an example, trust funds, right? Like just money that was set aside that just, we're still playing catch up.
Yes.
And the level of home ownership in Black communities continues to be low, which further sets us back, which further sets the next generation back from economic opportunity. So, finding ways to be more deliberate about I guess I would say, what is the word? I can't even think of the word. It is to get to financial stability, you got to have the financial literacy, and that's and I know that's one of your passions for sure. And I just, it's a real gap we have to close, because without that economic opportunity, the only option for so many people has been things that have led them to jail.
What I've always appreciated about a lot of the things that were passions of yours is particularly around the energy, clean environment. You didn't see a lot of Black folks getting into that kind of stuff, and which is always one to our detriment that we don't have voices, because we do miss out on innovation, economics, and more importantly, a voice at the table to make sure we're represented when these policies and things that happen. I looked at the Inflation Reduction Act, and when the Biden administration and a lot of good stuff came out of that, and the complete 180 from this to where we're getting rid of all this stuff. Do you think in the midterms that Democrats do you think we have a good chance of coming back, getting the House or the Senate?
I mean, it won't just happen.
Right.
We got to beat this drum. Democrats got to show up and not just, talk about what's wrong, but talk about the plan to get us out of this.
Yes. I agree with that.
Talk about like the long-term sustainability of these sort of proposals. And not only, you still have the other stuff too. Like it hasn't even, if you want to talk directly about attacks on Black people, I mean, even the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Yeah.
Right. Exhibits had to be taken out of the museum because of the president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our culture, our history is literally being erased by this man.
Isn't that something?
Our history, our economic opportunity, our health and our safety. They're making it easier to get silencers for guns now. Mm-hmm. They're making it more dangerous for people to live. Mm-hmm. Like, where people are being, we're dealing with the impacts of gun violence, and we are trying to figure out solutions to this. And their answer is to make it even easier for people to be dangerous on our streets.
Man, I'm off. You're right. There's so much stuff you could take a litany of things that are on the chopping block. What do you say to people who, Black folks, and I hate to air our dirty laundry, but what do you say to people some of us who they riding or dying with this man.
Riding or dying with this man, and some of it is I guess some people feel as if he might not be talking. He may not be. I may not be that person now, but the aspiration of being one of the elites in society that would be unscathed by these policies, like this aspiration to become super wealthy, to be a billionaire, right? Like too often, like the ambition, like people see themselves in a place that one, they're just not going to be statistically,
right?
To a place that doesn't even want them, even if they do get there.
That part.
Like these country club dreams, man. That some people have, and it's like, I get it. You're inspired by this gross display of wealth. You feel as if that I remember, like it was. I remember I saw this meme that talked about. It said. I can't even explain. It's too hard to explain. It's a picture. But anyway, it's like, people who make like, less than $30,000 a year act as if like they're going to be impacted by tax cuts to billionaires. And it's like, no, that's not you. That's not you.
You ain't going to never feel.
You don't have a billion pennies. Neither do I, for that matter. I don't have a billion pennies. I don't have a billion pennies, but still.
Yeah. Isn't that something? I wanted to since it dropped today again. Diddy trial.
Oh man,
yeah, we gotta.
I mean, so like even in the group chat, so it's like, well, the case they were building, like the evidence that was presented wasn't relevant to what he's being charged with for the most part. Like, did we find out some weird stuff about him and some things that he should probably be in jail for? Yeah, for sure.
We didn't need to know all that. We didn't need to know all that.
But what he's on trial for, unfortunately, they could not build that case to convict him of what he's on trial for.
That's true. I as a prosecutor, I listened to some of the case, and from the outset, I said it was going to be an uphill battle to get some of those serious charges. So,
I'm going to ask both of you this question about that. And how much does this contribute to this phenomenon of, because you both, we all three of us have some legal aspects to our thinking.
Indeed.
Versus this money. If you have money, man, you don't suffer the same consequences. How much does the Diddy trial play into that?
So, I mean, it's just, I think it's just a bad case. I mean, because like Jeffrey Epstein went to jail.
That's right.
And he got more money. So there are some people who do suffer consequences. Right. Like Harvey Weinstein is in jail. He's got money. Yeah. So it just.
Yeah. It was. I didn't think it was a good case.
Money doesn't hurt. But like, money does not hurt if you are.
But you didn't think it was a good case either. You didn't think it was a good.
It was like what we were presented with wasn't necessarily relevant to the charges.
And as a lawyer, you saw that too, huh?
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I saw that he was arrested, and then they put the complaint out, and the federal government generally puts most of their evidence in the charging document. I didn't see a lot. I didn't see enough for a conviction on a conspiracy charge. Yeah, that was going to be tough. So,
what happens to all the cases now that Trump is president? Is it on hold? Do we go back to this stuff once he's done? I mean, you got Letitia James. We had every lawyer.
Now they're trying to investigate her.
Right. Yes. And now the Justice Department is being used to go after some of the same people that's going after him, which I think we can make the argument. Yeah. He using the White House unethically is
I think he was very candid that's what he was doing.
He didn't hide it. He never said he did.
That's true.
He said this is,
this is exactly what I'm going to do.
That's right.
He said this is what he's going to do.
That's right. You think, I mean, so I have been concerned. We had Holder here. Attorney General Holder here, and he talked to us for about an hour and 15 minutes or so, hour and a half about the right to vote and of course the Supreme Court race here, but he seemed to be fairly optimistic that the courts were going to be able to help save us, and also that this man was going to leave office. I just don't believe that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
Voluntarily?
I mean, why would he?
That's all I'm saying.
Why would he?
That's all I'm saying. Well, I mean, just like you just made the point that these people are scared of him. They're capitulating. I mean, I just don't. What would he leave? Why would he? He could just say, I'm staying.
Man, how do you keep people from getting to the point where? Because after a while, I had to stop watching it.
Yeah,
right? Politics. I had to take a break from it.
Oh,
man.
I did too.
Yeah, it was just. It was so much negative, and you can't believe every day you wake up, you feel like your culture, your people are under attack.
Yeah.
How do you get people? What do we need to do to make sure people don't just check out, man?
Yeah, I think one thing is making sure people have not just to understand it, but an outlet to be active, to engage, because what makes people want to check out is they just feel powerless, right? Like it's easy to like, yeah, the president. And if these US senators are afraid of the president,
right,
then why should I even bother? You know, that's to the average, person in this country. And yeah, it'll be easy to feel that way. But getting people involved in like community, it doesn't even have to be political community. I mean, just community. Like one of our bigger problems, we just don't do things together anymore. There's very little, commonality right now. Like even at the entertainment level, right? Like what we're watching, what we're consuming in terms of shows. Everybody I talk to is like, oh, you seen this? No, I saw this. No, you saw this. Everybody has seen something different. Like there'd be time, just back in the day where people had familiar aspects of culture that they could gather around and coalesce around and truly understand and digest and grasp together, right? Like that's just not. Our opportunities to convene are fewer and fewer, and this increasingly digital world only makes it worse.
Yeah,
sinners brought us together, and probably the last thing that unified us together in that respect was the beating in Montgomery.
Oh, the brawl. Oh man, I was just down there a couple weeks ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right at the historic ferry. I was there.
Yeah, so I tend to agree with you. I tend to agree with you that they're just fewer opportunities where we can all unify and coalesce around a thing. I wrote this this reflection piece on how the vice president gave me hope. And these are the kind of things that like Jesse Jackson running. I mean that was we could get ourselves around him. I think just as a general proposition. Barack. I mean there are things. I mean we were. I was excited behind that. I mean our team we were excited behind that. What I'm just not feeling that.
Yeah,
in 2025, I'm not feeling that.
It's gonna be tough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's gonna be tough.
Yes, sir.
If you were advising, this is a consultant, the Assembly Dems on what they need to be doing, what would you? Because I know you. I know you've asked. I know you've thought about it
for sure.
What'd you say? What should the strategy focus be for them, man? I mean,
you gotta. I mean, I'll put it this way: like. We've lost a lot of races by not being bold. I don't think we've even had the chance to win or lose by being bold because it's never been a strategy that's been employed. I remember even the New York mayor's race, right? Like I saw something come up where people were just like, everybody's got an opinion about it, and it's just like, all right, this dude did something. He talked about something different. He did something different. Nobody saw him winning that race. And as I always say, like, people vote. A lot of people voted for Donald Trump against their interests because he seemed like he presented just a bold vision. Some of the stuff people may have disagreed with a majority of the things that he was saying, but if he said one thing, it's like, oh yeah, I like that idea because it was bold and it was something nobody else was talking about. And I think so often we get stuck in this cookie cutter mode where our messaging is all poll tested.
Yeah.
It's all just, what, it's very mainstream, and there's a place for it. And I'm not saying be all crazy out there,
right?
But take a chance to do something or say something that is gonna really like get at people's imagination. I don't think that we've tapped into people's imagination in a real way.
Indeed. I think Dems have been traditionally very terrible at messaging.
Oh, I hard agree.
How do you get beat out? I mean, many of the policies on our side of the table, middle America, they love them. I mean, 70-80% of us support the queer community. We're pro-choice. I mean, we believe in having the government provide these sort of programs. And so how do we let them folks over on the other side of the table beat us?
One thing they do is one thing they do a really good job at is dividing communities. Finding a thing that just separates people.
The Southern strategy.
That whole strategy is still at play and it's still effective.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But shouldn't we be at some point above that now?
You would think. But it's just not the case.
Shouldn't we?
I mean, in many ways, we've regressed as a society.
I agree. Agree. I think this what we're doing right now is worse than the Southern strategy. I think I just did many. I mean, all you have to do is say things like woke.
Yeah.
Right.
And, now it's there are literally 24 30 words or better that you simply can't say in school districts,
right,
and in classrooms, and in some places they're moving to make saying those words, just saying them, criminal offenses. You can't teach our history now.
Right.
Critical race theory, woke DEI,
and don't even know what critical race theory is.
Don't even know what it is.
Anti-racist.
Don't even know what it is. Man,
can't say those things.
Given all the stuff that you're doing, what do you 4 or 5 years from now, man? What do you hope the impact will be, the legacy when you look back?
I'm going to like that. Oh, you just got to maybe think about something. Because I remember during my campaign, like they found this old video. It wasn't even actually probably like a year old.
I remember
in 2021 when I talked about the legacy of slavery. And I was where was I? I was just west of Madison. I don't remember where I was right now. I was the only black person there. They act like I was at a Black Panther meeting.
Yes, sir. I remember this.
I'm like,
I was the only black. This is the October surprise, brother.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Like this is.
That's right. That's right, brother. They had him. Brother, I'm black,
right?
And I'm black,
and
I'm black, and black.
Right.
Only black person at the
I was the only black person there, sir. And I'm sitting here talking to these people. We're having a conversation,
right?
And they just made it seem like I was about to go lead the revolt.
I remember that, brother.
And I was just like, look, the Republicans. I don't care about the Republican response to that.
Right.
But there were Democrats like, oh, why is he saying these things?
Isn't that something?
Why is he saying this? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
First of all, it's a 10-second clip.
Yeah.
Right. You can't. Ain't no way in the world.
It's a 10-second clip. Play the whole thing. The whole thing. It was like one of those moments where it's like it's like, all right. I fully expect Republicans to get a certain way about that. But as Democrats, this is what you're getting worked up about?
Yeah.
When we are staring down the decline of our democracy?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Another thing Dems are not very good at is it's because I don't think we believe in the platform in its core. So the coalition that we have queer folks, we have black folks, we have black women, those people that make the Democratic Party, we say that we are for those people and we want to make policies for, but we're romanticizing middle America and rural folks and white folk. And that's, we need everybody to build this thing, but I don't think they believe what they're saying. I don't think they believe it.
A lot of people hop on because it's like the thing that's popular at the time.
Indeed.
But feeling it in the core, not always the case. Not always the case. And
I don't think they believe it.
For the legacy portion of it, whether it's 5, 10, or 50 years down the line, I want to have changed the conversation in some kind of way. I want to have whoever's to come next. I want that person to not be afraid to say the thing that needs to be said.
I think you are changing that conversation.
I'm trying.
I think you are.
You know, like I said, and it just goes back to the whole thing about not being able to, you know, none of us could do this on our own.
Right.
Like for the bold stances you take from the pulpit, you know, what you're doing, you know, and congrats too with the,
Thank you, man.
I mean, that's huge in and of itself in a time where our history and our culture is being erased. You going full speed ahead into it.
I did have to think about it. It was some prayer and thought about it. Like, man, is this the right move?
So, like, you know, but none of us, right? Like, none of us could do any of that on our own. It takes a foundation, and I want to work to build that foundation. You know, and that's what you have to do in your work. That's what you do in your work.
Brother, what a rich conversation.
It's been fun.
Oh yeah,
bro,
man.
I don't want to keep you too much longer. We didn't held you. I didn't ask my question, brother. I just needed some direction on what you were gonna do next, brother. That is where we
let the brother come back a little bit. Let's get him on the third show.
He said, "Don't ask. Don't ask
for our first question."
Right. That was brother. I told him. He said he had a pretty 2-page list of all the questions.
I sent him some questions like, "Yo, man,
so Mandel, you have this going on, and you're doing this." I said, "No." I said, "These are beautiful questions. We not gonna ask man one of them."
Text me back.
I said,
those are great.
But we're not
using any of those.
I want to know what the cat is going to do, where we can support this cat to run, and I want to know about this abortion thing.
Text me back. Yeah, beautiful questions. We're not using any of those.
We're not going to ask none of these questions, bro.
Oh man,
he had it all. He had it all laid out.
Good,
it was beautiful. The show was supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to be pretty, brother. But I had to just jump in and see what we can see. Brother.
Here for it.
So just so grateful for you, brother. We're just gonna let you go, man. But I'm gonna let you close it.
No,
out,
man. It's good to see you, man.
You too, man.
Very proud of the work you're doing, bro. Yeah, you know, love to talk again. Just
for sure.
And keep
this has been fun.
And really just watching it, man. Because even though you know, I think I don't know. When people see it, I've always said to people. Me and you never had beef.
Yeah,
me and you never had.
Yeah. And I've never seen it. I've never seen it on your face. Never seen it in your soul. I never saw that, brother.
Now, I tell people, I was like, yo, when he ran, he hit me up, and I was like, yo, man, we had some good conversations.
I tell people all the time, like, he donated to me. It wasn't even campaign money. It was real. That was pocket money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He donated pocket money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We gonna all come up. We gonna all come up, brother. We gonna all come up.
Yeah.
Your time. You know, you were appointed for a particular, for a reason. Yeah, brother. So we're gonna keep watching you. We're gonna keep following you. We just proud of you, man.
And love the look, dog. I was really, bro. I was telling Tasha, like, yo, man, bro, look really good on national TV. It was really. You can tell you've been through some shit. you only get that kind of wisdom when you done been through some stuff.
You beat him up, but Ron Johnson is dirty. You know what I'm saying, brother? It was a dirty fight, brother. Fight dirty.
You've been listening to the Hollow Black podcast. We want to thank our special guest, our brother, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, and senior fellow and all kind of other director, president.
Stuff, man. We can add senator or something, brother. Let's add something.
Y'all know we gonna keep them close.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks, brother.